the last 10 years, I've made it a tradition to watch the Game Awards, and as cringy as it is, I do enjoy the show and the announcements that come from the event. I love the orchestra performances at the end of the show. I love whatever Muppet ends up being featured. I love Epic Flute Guy. It's a usual 7 out of 10 for me. Since I'm trying to remain consistent on the channel, I'm deciding to mark this video as a tradition. I am going to try and predict this year's Game of the Year, as well as the games that'll be featured in the category. I know the coin Game of the Year doesn't really mean anything, as everything is subjective, and your Game of the Year may be different than mine, and that the actual Game Awards are rigged, yada yada yada, but I do think that this could be a fun exercise, as well as prove a true testament in my attempt to become a better content creator. Obviously, I can't predict what games that haven't been officially announced that will be released during the year. So how this video will work is based on what has been officially announced, as well as having a confirmed release date. I'm also not going to try and predict what will win the other various categories that the show has, because I can't predict how much care developers will put into specific things for me to properly predict those winners. As for Content Creator of the Year, I really hope it goes to Sunburned Albino, because he's funny as hell, and knows what he's talking about when it comes to gaming opinions. So, with both rules set in stone, it's time to do this thing. This is PlayStacin mindlessly predicting the 2026 Game of the Year. Let's go. Let's start with Nioh 3. Developed by Team Ninja and is looking to be a real contender, as well as a great start for the new year. Nioh wears its inspirations on its sleeve, being heavily influenced by From Software's Soulsborne genre, which is amazing to say since most Soulsborne-inspired games don't turn into long-going franchises. But here we are. Personally, I've never played Nioh, so I can't say from personal experiences as to why Nioh 3 should be a part of the conversation. However, judging from what I've seen from trailers and Sunburned Albino's boss ranking videos, I do think there is a high chance of Nioh 3 playing a major part at this year's Game Awards. The combat continues to look incredible, and with us being 5 years into the PS5's life cycle, I'm sure Team Ninja have poured a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and blood into this highly anticipated threequel. Nioh 3 is scheduled to release next month on February 6th, and should keep the hardcore players entertained until From Software releases their next big Elden Ring update. The next big release in 2026 is merely 21 days after Nioh 3, and is Capcom's next big game in the Resident Evil franchise, Requiem. I must say that Capcom has been absolutely killing it this generation, with several releases each year, and 2026 isn't going to be any different. Resident Evil 9, Requiem, is the next big game in the series and looks to be implementing a combination of the playstyle that Biohazard and Village set up to breathe life into the franchise, mixed up with the playstyles that the remakes have been using to spice up the older games from the franchise. What they've shown so far is absolutely sick, and is looking to be the best Resident Evil yet. I mean, you have the option to play in either first-person mode or third-person mode, which means that this monster chase is going to be absolutely sick in first-person. And they're bringing back the GOAT, Leon Kennedy, for more gut-punching, chainsaw-wielding action. I swear, Leon is the Dante of Resident Evil. It's looking like there's going to be 2 different stories to play through, similar to Resident Evil 2, and I'm all for it. One focusing on the scares, and the other focusing on kicking ass. This is looking to be one of Capcom's greatest hits of this generation, and is releasing on February 27th. Next, from IO Interactive, we have 007 First Light, blending in everything they've learned from developing the iconic Hitman franchise with the lore of everyone's favorite spy, 007. This game looks like it's going to be an absolute blast to play through, kind of like if Hitman and Uncharted had a baby, because the set pieces that we've already seen look awesome as hell. I don't know what it's about, licensed properties becoming gaming highlights, as they used to be looked down upon, but Gamingwood has been killing it. Anyways, 007 First Light is looking to be a fun action spy thriller and is releasing on March 27th, just 1 month after Resident Evil. Hey, what's up you guys, it's Capcom back again with another video game release, Pragmata. a brand new IP from Capcom, and it looks fucking dope. First revealed at the PlayStation 5 reveal showcase, yes, 2020, Pragmata is finally ready to be released to the public, and once again, it looks fucking dope. To me, it looks like a mixture of some of the best games like Dead Space, Death Stranding, Resident Evil, and Stellar Blade. Back when it was announced, I thought this was going to be a pretty boring game, but after 5 years of waiting and seeing actual gameplay, I'm ready to say that I'll be getting this game day one. Hopefully. I'm broke after all. Isn't it sad that PlayStation Studios has been going downhill when it comes to releases these past couple of years? With only one game releasing last year. Hopefully this year will be different with Housemarque's next big game, Seiros. Housemarque hit it out of the park with Returnal a few years back, and fans of it have been patiently waiting for their next big game. Now, I did play a bit of Returnal, and while I do think its premise is cool, I did quickly drop it to play something else, and haven't really gone back to play it since. It was unique for sure, and had an interesting premise, but Seiros seems to be upping the ante, as well as implementing a heavy story focus this time around. Seiros really does feel like a true evolution of Housemarque's roguelike style, and may truly be one of the PS5's defining games on the console. It also stars Rahul Kohli as the main character. I loved him in iZombie, and I personally think he would have made a great live-action Mr. Fantastic. Pedro's cool and all, but they should have given it to Raul. Anyways, this game is set to drop April 30th, just 6 days after Pragmata. God, gamers are eating well at the beginning of this year. Back in 2023, Phantom Blade Zero was announced, and to be honest, I wasn't that interested. I thought it looks cool, but after the success of Ghost of Tsushima, I was getting kinda tired of seeing samurai games get announced. I mean, we had Rise of the Ronin, and Trek to Yomi, and Ghost of Tsushima 2 was inevitable. Even now, we've had a ton of games based on ancient Japanese culture released, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. What can I say? Samurais are cool. After the most recent trailer for Phantom Blade Zero, this looks to be an absolute banger. Every cool sword fight I've ever had in my head seems to be playable in every piece of footage that I've seen of this game. You know what I mean? It feels like the most anime out of all that's come out, and that excites me deeply. I still don't really know what it's all about, and I'm ready to go into further debt for it. This game is set to release on September 9th. Alright, time for the biggest outlier on the list, and we'll determine just how everything is going to go at the end of this video. Grand Theft Auto 6, aka the game that refuses to come out, aka the game that will never come out, aka Rockstar's magnum opus, or greatest decline of all time. It's no secret that GTA 6 is the highest anticipated game of all time. It's been 13 years since GTA 5 first came out, and surprisingly enough, GTA Online is still going strong to this day. But apparently, we're at the end of the rope. GTA 6 is supposedly coming out this year, despite already having 2 delays since its reveal trailer. There's no telling how this game is going to go. There's no telling if it's actually going to come out this year. But as of right now, as of this video's release, it is scheduled to come out on November 19th, probably to maximize holiday profits. You just know it's either going to be really, really good, or the wait has been so long that everyone's expectations are exceedingly high, and every little thing won't live up to said expectations. Okay. So now that I've discussed what I think the year's biggest releases are going to be, here are the 6 games I think will be nominated for Game of the Year. First up, Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Capcom have been absolutely killing it this generation, especially with Resident Evil. Both Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 were Game of the Year nominees, and Requiem is looking to be a combination of both of those games. So yeah, Requiem will definitely be in the running. Next, we have Seiros, which is shaping up to be a real revolution for roguelike shooters with a compelling narrative and interesting world to explore. Housemarque knows what they're doing, and with it being roguelike, every player's experience is sure to be different. Thus, why I think it has a strong chance of being one of the Game of the Year nominees. Pragmata is next up as the true Game of the Year contender, due to the many inspiration the game wears on its chest. since it seems to be following the small child escort quest as its main gimmick, similar to the past Game of the Year nominees, The Last of Us, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and God of War. With it being a brand new IP as well, there's a solid shot this breaks new ground. Phantom Blade Zero is another game that I feel has a strong chance at hitting it big time, just by the pure presentation. This game looks sick and heavily action-oriented. Like I said earlier, it makes me think of every imaginary fight scene I've ever thought up in my head. Does that even make sense? Does anyone else do that? Now, here's where we split into multiple timelines, just because we have no idea what's gonna happen. Timeline number 1. Grand Theft Auto 6 releases just before the threshold and is able to qualify for this year's Game Awards. Timeline number 2. Grand Theft Auto releases just after the threshold and doesn't qualify for the Game Awards, and is immediately put into next year's nominees. And finally, timeline number 3. Grand Theft Auto 6 gets delayed again, and is immediately put into next year's nominees. Personally, I feel like timeline number 3 is the timeline that makes the most sense, just because Rockstar claims to be perfectionists for their flagship titles. But I'll leave it here just in case. Now, I am missing a spot, and it's usually the family-friendly game of the nominees. However, there isn't anything that I can think of that's currently being developed that can mark this slot. Perhaps during the summer, Nintendo will release something groundbreaking. But until then, that's gonna cut it for this video. Put down in the comments on what you think the year holds, and share what you think, based on what's been shown, on what has a strong chance of being nominees. Until next time, y'all have a sumptuous day. Until our next communion.